Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Guys, I'm just making this video on the importance of playing sports, right? For men especially. I think every man needs to have played sports at some point in his life. It doesn't matter if it was competitive, if it was just backyard sports with the boys, but something or the other. And he did it for a consistent period of time, right? A lot of people do it as kids, especially me, right? I was always into sports as a child. I was playing football, cricket, hockey sometimes, basketball. Well, I didn't play a lot of basketball, but I was trying to essentially take part in every sports I could, like every sport I could. Right, I was trying to get better at a few sports, playing a few sports consistently, but I was just always trying to take part in every sports I could. You could be playing tag, and I would be enjoying myself trying to play that. Now it's not specifically a sport, but you guys get what I mean. I was playing with other kids outside. Sounded wrong, but you guys know what I mean. Anyways, my point is, every man that I've come across that has not played sports as a child has, for lack of a better term, been slightly weird, right? In some aspect of their life, they just feel incomplete as a man. Now I'm going to tell you guys where they feel incomplete to me. Now this is again my personal opinion. You could very well have never played sports, and the things that I'm going to talk about that you lack or you may lack because you didn't play sports, you might just have a perfectly good life without those things. But for me, the kind of man I want to be, the kind of man I aspire to be, I feel like all these things are important, and these naturally build in you if you have played sports as a kid. And if you missed that opportunity because for whatever reason your parents didn't allow you to play, they're very overprotective of you, or whatever reason there was, you can now play sports as a man and experience these things and have them build in you. And it'll probably take 6 to 12 months for these things to build in you after you play some sports consistently, maybe 4 or 5 times a week, right? So the first thing I've noticed in people that I've come across that don't play sports, they usually lack a competitive spirit, right? They are not very competitive. And I've talked about this on at length, and I will talk about it in the future, that why is it so important for every man to be extremely competitive, to better himself, to improve himself. If he's not competitive with himself, he's never going to want to improve. If he's not competitive with the people around him, he will have no aspiration to improve. Let's say if I'm sitting here in a room with 5 other guys and 4 of them are better than me, and I lack competitive spirit, I will be okay with just being better than that one other guy in the room. I'll be like, oh, I'm cool, I'm chill with my position. And a lot of people would take that as being secure in yourself. I believe that being secure in yourself is important, but a healthy obsession with becoming better is, it'll just make the world a better place, right? So for me especially, for someone who, not self-proclaimed, but people have told me that I do come across as extremely competitive, which, to be fair, sometimes has led to my downfall, but most times I'm very proud of the fact that I am competitive because I'm always willing to improve. I see someone better than me, I thank God for what he's given me, I'm grateful for what he's given me, but I want to be aspire, I want to aspire, I want to be better than that man. I aspire to be better than that individual who I deem as better than me in whatever area, right? So a lot of men who haven't played sports as kids or don't play sports as adults, they don't have that edge. They don't care too much about, competition. They don't care about bettering themselves or being better than someone else. They're just fine with whatever they have, and they're okay with not never improving. And if that works for you, so be it. But again, for the man I aspire to be, that could never be me. So if you aspire to be anything like me, or the kind of men that I'm talking about, the masculine men, the men who are always on self-improvement, the men who are always aspiring to get more out of their life, then you should look into playing some sort of sports if you couldn't as a kid, right? To build that competitive spirit inside you. Because when you start playing sports, you don't want to lose. You don't want someone else to be better than you, no matter who it is. I could be playing with my brother, and I want my brother to be better in every aspect of life, but if I'm competing with him in a sport, I cannot handle that. There's a fire that burns inside me while I'm playing that sport to show him who the older brother is, right? So that, it's, even when I'm playing against someone I love the most in this world, I'm still being competitive, and that is very important as a man. This next thing is, guys, the people that haven't played sports, especially men who haven't played sports, are more agreeable. Now, being more agreeable, again, none of these things is a bad thing per se, but to me, they stand out because I am not that type of person. I don't aspire to be that type of person who lacks these things or does these things, right? You guys get what I mean. Sometimes I mess up. All right, anyways, I'm not going to cut off the video because I've already gotten 5 minutes into it. I'm just going to continue. So, more agreeable. People who haven't played sports are usually more agreeable, and we've come to the conclusion through various research, and I think Jordan Peterson talked about this. Why are men? I think this was a huge discussion on why men get paid more than women, and one of the biggest reasons is because men are more disagreeable. Men will negotiate more than women would in general. This is a general sense. I know a lot of women who are extremely disagreeable and would get paid a lot more than men too. But I'm just saying that in a general sense, a more disagreeable human being will get paid more. Why am I so red? What's up with this lighting? Anyways, I'm just going to continue the video. So men who are more disagreeable or people who are generally more disagreeable will in their careers go further and usually end up earning more because they are not willing to settle for something less than they feel that they deserve. You guys get what I mean? And that comes from sports, guys. So for example, when I was playing sports as a kid, if I got fouled, I would stand there and shout and say that was a foul and I'm going to stand for my right. I need to get a penalty or I need to get a free kick, whatever it was, right? I would stand there and a lot of people would be like, oh, he's crying about it. It's not a crying about it if it's your right, if you're in the right. So that's one thing that sports teaches you. It teaches you being confrontational without having the fear of confrontation. A lot of people have that. Even me now, even when I've played that much sports and I've been in that many confrontations that I've disagreed with that many people, even to this day, sometimes I'll be sitting, I don't want to get into a confrontation because there is a fear of confrontation. So I can only imagine what a person who's never been through those experiences feels in moments of confrontation. So a lot of people who haven't played sports as kids or don't play sports as men, they're not very confrontational. They're not very disagreeable. They will just be fine with the hand that's dealt for them. And so, I don't know. For me, I feel like if I want to be successful in life, I will have to be disagreeable at certain points. And playing sports has definitely benefited me in terms of being disagreeable with people and not avoiding confrontation when it can't be avoided. The third thing, guys, I've seen people who haven't played sports, they lack is discipline. They don't have discipline, right? What sports teaches you is because of that competitive nature that sports instills in you, it also instills in you discipline to become better at that sport. So for example, if I'm losing a cricket game to my brother, right? We're playing one-on-one, I'm losing to him, and I've lost to him 3 days in a row. The discipline that I will have the next time I practice will be so much more than a person who has never lost in life, who's never even experienced the failure of sports in life, right? I will be so much more focused in the next practice session. I will be so much more determined to not lose because of that competitive spirit that I talked about before, that my discipline would just improve. And a lot of people that have never played sports don't have discipline. Especially people who have played sports on a competitive level will know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to discipline, because they can't play at a competitive level if they lack discipline. Right? If they're not down to train every single day, if they're not down to eat the right things, if they're not down to practice when they're sick, they will lose. And the fear of losing gets them to get out of their bed or get out of their comfort zone and be disciplined and keep training. So that's one thing sports does for you. And you can get all these other things, all these things that I'm talking about from other areas, but if you just take sports, you won't need anything else to build these characteristics in you, right? So it could be any sport at all. It could be a team sport, it could be an individual sport, and I'll come to that with my next point, which is a lot of people who have never played sports in their life don't take accountability and will blame other people for their failure. And whether you play a team sport or whether you play a sport that you play alone, like tennis or fighting, you learn to take accountability for your losses, right? If you're playing a team sport, people will tell you that, okay, you fucked up or you messed up, which is why we lost, right? They will blame you and they will force you to take accountability when it's your fault. And when you're playing a sport that's individual to you, just like it's just about you, whether you're boxing, you're doing some sort of MMA, or you're playing tennis, you will realize that the only reason you lost was because someone else was better than you. because there was no one else to blame. So any form of sports you play, you will learn to take accountability, and I think that is so crucial when it comes to real world. When it comes to the real world, taking accountability, apologizing for your mistakes, and becoming better, and never repeating that mistake again. And you can learn that from playing sports again. The fifth point, guys, and I'm just gonna narrow this video down to 5 points, but I could keep speaking about the things that people who have never played sports in their life lack, right? But I don't, because of the length of this video, I don't want to keep talking about it. So I'm just going to narrow it down to 5 points. I might make a part 2 and keep telling you guys why playing sports is so important for men. They lack communication skills. People who have never played sports, especially a team sport, lack communication skills. They don't know how to explain themselves. They don't know exactly how to tell someone what they want. But when you've played sports, let's say you've played a team sport, you're playing football, you're playing cricket, and you want to set a field a particular way, you need to communicate that to your team. You need to communicate that to your captain. And there's a skill to doing it where you don't, you're not pushing the authority of a captain to the extent that it's insulting, but you are also telling him that this is exactly what you want and this would be better for the team. And there's a way to do it. Now, these communication skills you can obviously learn being in environments of team situations where if you're working in a team, you will eventually learn these things. If you're even working a corporate job and you're working in a team, you will eventually learn how to communicate with people. But I think if you've played sports as a kid or as a teenager or as a man, it's just you just have a boost in this department. Your communication skills are already good because you've dealt pressure situations and you've known how to explain yourself in those pressure situations. You've dealt with pressure situations and you know how to explain yourself in those situations. So that's what it is. Even if you're playing an individualistic sport, you will still have a coach that you need to work with, right? That's telling you what to do. And certain things only you can see because you're the one getting punched in the face or you're the one facing the pressure. So you can tell what works for you, and you need to communicate that to your coach in a way that, doesn't take away from his authority, doesn't take away from his knowledge, doesn't make him feel like inferior to you, but also telling him those things in a way that he understands where you are coming from, right? So there's a way to do these things. There are ways to explaining yourself. Sometimes it's aggressively. Some people react to an aggressive tone. Some people react to a more softer tone. But you learn these things when you're playing sports. You know how you're a better judge of character. You know exactly how to approach an individual and how they would want to be approached when you're trying to tell them something, right? I hope you guys get what I mean. I'm going to narrow it down to these 5 points, and I'm going to tell each and every man to go out and play sports. If you're a kid, if you're a teenager, pick up a sport. Doesn't matter if you've never played in your life, right? If you play a sport for a year, 3 to 5 times a week, you will get great at it. You will get pretty good at it. You will get good enough to an extent where you will compete with the average people playing that sport, right? It just takes a year. It just takes six to 12 months to get pretty good at a sport, to the point that you can compete with people and not always lose, right? So pick something up, pick anything up, because I feel like these 5 skills that I've talked about and so many more that I haven't are so important in your daily life to becoming successful as a man, especially. And I think sports is just a shortcut way of getting there. And, obviously there's social opportunities, you network with people, all of that, we can get into that side of things. You meet healthier people, you connect with like-minded people, there are those advantages too. So just pick up a sport, guys. And until next time, I love you guys.